We want to make the most of the time that you have with us this morning, so let's get you in the know. We're continuing to watch developments out of Manatee County as crews work to patch up the breach at the old Piney Point phosphate plant and pump out nitrogen-rich wastewater into the bay. At this point, more than 180 million gallons of wastewater have been released from the gypsum stack that previously held 480 million gallons. 10 Tampa Bay's Jenny Dean is live in Palmetto with the latest for us this morning. Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning, Caitlin. You know, with the pumping, it still continues, but with the immediate threat over, they now turn to assessing the damage and finding a long-term fix for this problem, something permanent. So in Tallahassee yesterday, the House Pandemics and Public Emergencies Committee started discussing this emergency here at Piney Point. They decided to put $3 million toward it to clean it up, and that's been set aside as part of the state budget. Now, the Florida Senate amended the budget on Wednesday, but the $200 million that's needed, that it's going to take to do all of this, is likely going to come from the American Rescue Plan, and plans are still being discussed on how to hold HRK Holdings, which is the company that owns Piney Point. They want to hold them responsible, and how can they do that? So they're looking into that. Now, USF researchers, they were out Wednesday collecting water samples, sediment, testing fish to see the impact of all of this wastewater going out into the bay. That will help them determine whether or not we have an environmental disaster on our hands by gauging the impact on the wildlife, the water quality, and of course, we could see red tide as well.
There are some things that you have to do, right away, just because the samples will be fresh, or you have to filter the samples to remove the particles or the phytoplankton.
Now, the team's going to continue to monitor these chemicals from the outflow. The scientists are analyzing things like pH, bacteria, carbon, and trace metals that are going out into the water. But they're going to be doing this for some time because they really want to see how this is going to impact the bay, and it could take weeks or even months to get the results of all of that testing. Caitlin?
All right, thanks, Jenny. The Manatee County Administrator, Dr. Scott Hopes, visited the site and gave us a sharper insight into how this disaster could have impacted half of all Floridians.
The Gulf Stream pipeline runs right beside Piney Point. That pipeline supplies the gas that produces power to 50% of the state of Florida. Had we had an uncontrolled breach, all estimates are that that pipeline would have had to have been shut off, and it would take 2 weeks at minimum to close that pipeline and be able to fuel power for half the state of Florida.